I'm 42. Married for 11 years. 2 kids. A mortgage that feels like a third child. Until recently, I would have described my life as boring in a good way. My wife and I met in our late 20s. We grew up together, in that way people do when they think they're building something permanent. She's smart, driven, always been the organized one. I'm quieter, more emotional than I like to admit. We balanced each other. Or at least I thought we did. Nothing dramatic marked the beginning of the end. No screaming fights. No obvious distance. Life just continued. School runs, dinners half-eaten because someone had a late meeting, sex that became less frequent but never disappeared completely. I told myself this was what long-term love looked like. She started saying she was busier at work. Promotions, projects, deadlines. I believed her because it made sense. I was proud of her. I told people my wife was killing it at her job. If I'm being honest, I also liked having an explanation for why she was tired all the time. Why she checked her phone face down. Why she'd shower immediately after getting home. I didn't think I was naive. I thought I was trusting. There's a difference, apparently. Looking back, it's strange how normal everything felt right before it all collapsed. Like standing on solid ground that's already cracked underneath, just waiting for your weight to shift. When we first got married, we were inseparable. We talked about everything. Or I thought we did. Somewhere along the way, conversations turned into logistics. How was your day? Became, did you pick up milk? She started a new position at her company about a year ago. New team, new pressure. There was this colleague she mentioned a lot. Let's call him Mark. At first, it was harmless. Mark said this, Mark helped with that. I didn't feel threatened. I trusted her completely. But the mentions increased. Casual at first, then constant. I noticed how her tone changed when she talked about work. Lighter. More animated. I remember thinking, I haven't made her sound like that in a while. There were small things. A new perfume. Clothes she hadn't worn in years suddenly back in rotation. She started going in earlier, coming home later. When I joked about her living at the office, she snapped at me. That was new. I ignored the red flags because acknowledging them meant risking everything. It was easier to tell myself I was paranoid. That I was insecure. That marriage just goes through phases. I told myself love meant giving space. I told myself trust meant not asking too many questions. I didn't realize how much I was lying to myself. The doubt didn't hit me all at once. It crept in quietly. One night, her phone lit up on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. A message preview flashed. Just a name and a heart emoji. I didn't read it. I swear I didn't. But my chest tightened like it already knew the truth. I asked her later casually, who had texted. She barely looked up. Work stuff. That was the moment something shifted. Not because of what she said, but how quickly she said it. Too smooth. Too practiced. After that, I started noticing patterns. She'd leave the room to take calls. She guarded her phone like it was classified information. If I walked behind her while she was texting, she'd tilt the screen away. I hated myself for noticing. I hated the version of me that was becoming suspicious. I wanted to go back to being the man who trusted without question. One evening, she said she had to stay late again. I watched her get dressed with more care than usual. She kissed me quickly, distracted. After the door closed, I stood there longer than I want to admit. Something inside me whispered, this isn't work. That was the first time I considered following her. I didn't act on it. Not yet. I wasn't ready to know. The next few weeks were torture. Living in limbo is worse than pain. At least pain has clarity. I tried talking to her. I told her I felt distant from her. She turned it around on me, said I was being needy, that she was under pressure. I apologized. Again. The night I followed her, I didn't plan it. She said she had an emergency meeting. Left in a rush. No makeup this time, but still that same unfamiliar energy. I sat on the couch, staring at the TV without seeing anything. Then I grabbed my keys. I told myself I just wanted peace of mind. That I'd follow her to the office, see her car there, and feel stupid for doubting her. I kept a safe distance, heart pounding like I was doing something illegal. She didn't go to the office. She drove across town, to a part of the city she had no reason to be in. She parked outside a restaurant. Not fancy. Intimate. Dim lights. I watched from across the street as she checked her phone, smiled, and walked inside. That smile broke something in me. I sat there for 20 minutes, arguing with myself. Then I got out of the car. I didn't go inside right away. I stood near the window, pretending to look at the menu posted outside. That's when I saw her. She was sitting at a small table, leaning forward, laughing. Her hand rested on his arm. Mark. I recognized him from the company website. Taller than me. Confident posture. Too comfortable. Then he leaned in and kissed her. Not a quick, accidental kiss. A slow, familiar one. My ears rang. I felt detached from my body, like I was watching a movie I hadn't agreed to be part of. I don't remember breathing. I remember her laughing again. I remember the way she looked at him. The way she never looked at me anymore. I walked away before they noticed me. Sat back in my car and screamed until my throat hurt. I thought I'd feel rage. Instead, I felt hollow. Like something essential had been removed without anesthesia. I stayed there until they left together. Watched them get into the same car. I followed them again, hating myself, needing proof I already had. They stopped at a hotel. That was it. That was the moment my marriage officially died, even if either of them knew it yet. I drove home in a fog. I don't remember the roads. I don't remember parking. I sat in the dark living room until she came home hours later. I didn't turn on a light. I wanted her to walk into the truth. When she saw me, she froze. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" she asked, forcing a laugh. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just said, "I know." She tried to deny it at first. Reflexively. "Know what?" "Mark. The restaurant. The hotel." Her face collapsed. That image is burned into my brain. The exact second her double life ended. She started crying. Saying it wasn't what it looked like. Saying it just happened. Saying she was confused. I felt everything at once. Anger. Grief. Shame. Love. Hatred. I asked her how long. She wouldn't answer. I asked her if she loved him. She said she didn't know. That hurt more than a yes would have. The conversation lasted all night. Or maybe it just felt that way. She said she felt unseen. That the affair made her feel alive. That it was never supposed to go this far. I asked her if she thought about me while she was with him. She didn't answer. She begged me not to tell anyone. Said it would destroy her career. Our family. Our kids. I laughed at that. A broken, ugly sound. Like I was the one destroying everything. At one point, she got angry. Accused me of invading her privacy. Of following her. That's when I snapped. I told her privacy ended when she started sleeping with someone else. We cried. We yelled. We sat in silence. At dawn, she went to shower. I stayed on the couch, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. I realized I didn't recognize the woman I married anymore. Or maybe I never really did. The days after felt unreal. Like living in someone else's body. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. I kept replaying moments from our marriage, wondering which ones were lies. Wondering if she ever truly loved me. The worst part wasn't the sex. It was the intimacy. The secrets. The jokes I wasn't part of. I felt stupid. Weak. Replaceable. I blamed myself constantly. Maybe if I'd been more attentive, more exciting, less tired. At the same time, I hated her for making me feel this way. I existed in a constant state of emotional whiplash. One moment wanting to hold her, the next wanting to disappear. I didn't tell anyone. I was too ashamed. We tried to keep things normal for the kids. It was exhausting. She cut contact with him. Or at least she said she did. I checked her phone obsessively. I hated who I was becoming. Trust was gone. Completely. I missed work. Lost weight. Friends noticed, but I brushed it off. At night, I lay next to her, feeling miles away. She wanted forgiveness on a timeline. I couldn't give it. Every argument circled back to the affair. Every silence was heavy with it. Our house felt poisoned. Eventually, I told my brother. Then a close friend. Everyone had an opinion. Leave her. Forgive her. Think of the kids. No one could tell me how to stop the pain. She suggested therapy. We went. Sat on opposite ends of the couch. She cried. I stared at the floor. The therapist asked if I still loved her. I didn't know how to answer. After therapy started, we entered this strange performance phase of our marriage. On the surface, we were trying. On the inside, I was barely holding myself together. We scheduled date nights like appointments. Tuesday at 7. Friday at 8. Babysitter arranged. Restaurant chosen. Conversation topics rehearsed in my head so there wouldn't be silence. I felt like I was auditioning for my own wife. Sometimes it almost felt normal. She'd laugh, reach for my hand, tell me about her day. For brief moments, I'd catch a glimpse of the woman I fell in love with. Those moments were dangerous. They made me hope. Then something tiny would snap me back. Her phone vibrating. A male voice at a nearby table. The word, work. My chest would tighten, my mood would shift, and I'd shut down without meaning to. She noticed. Of course she did. She started saying things like, "We'll never move forward if you keep living in the past." Or, "I said I was sorry, how many times do I have to apologize?" Every time she said that, I felt like I was being blamed for bleeding too long after being stabbed. I was trying. God, I was trying. I read articles about forgiveness at 2 a.m. I replayed therapy sessions in my head. I told myself love meant endurance. That marriages survived worse. But forgiveness isn't a switch. And trust doesn't regenerate just because someone wants it to. I started lying to her about how I felt. Saying I was okay when I wasn't. Saying, "I'm working on it," when I felt stuck in the same emotional crater. I did it to keep the peace. I did it to avoid another exhausting conversation. Inside, resentment grew. Quietly. Steadily. The breaking point didn't come during a fight. It came during what was supposed to be an honest moment. We were sitting in the kitchen late one night, kids asleep, house quiet. She looked tired. Vulnerable. She said therapy had helped her understand herself better. That she finally felt like she could be honest. That word should have scared me. She told me she was committed to us. That she wanted to rebuild. Then she hesitated. Looked down at her hands. "I need to say something," she said. "And I need you not to explode." That sentence alone made my stomach drop. She admitted she still thought about him. That sometimes she missed the way he made her feel. She clarified quickly, she didn't love him. She didn't want to be with him. But she missed the version of herself she was when she was with him. I stared at her, numb. All I heard was that while I was drowning, she was nostalgic. I asked her if she would ever stop missing him. She said she didn't know. That feelings don't just disappear. Something inside me shut off. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. I realized then that no matter how hard I tried, I would always be competing with a ghost. A fantasy. A man who only existed in stolen moments without responsibility or consequences. That night, I moved to the couch. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. For the first time since discovering the affair, I slept deeply. No nightmares. No intrusive images. Just emptiness. And somehow, that felt like relief. The separation didn't happen all at once. It unfolded in small, deliberate steps. We told the kids together. Sat them down at the table. Used soft words. Space. Time. Grown-up problems. They nodded, pretending to understand. My oldest asked if it was their fault. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried silently so they wouldn't hear. She moved into an apartment nearby. Close enough for shared custody. Far enough that I didn't have to feel her presence every night. There was no dramatic goodbye. No final argument. Just boxes, quiet tension, and exhaustion. People assumed the separation would bring relief. It didn't. It brought silence. A lot of it. I missed the routine. The chaos. Even the version of her that hurt me. Loss is complicated like that. We communicated mostly about the kids. Logistics. Pickups. Schedules. Brief, polite messages that felt colder than anger ever did. Sometimes she tried to reminisce. Send a photo from the past. Mention an inside joke. I didn't respond. Not because I hated her, but because I couldn't survive being pulled backward again. There was no closure conversation. No clean ending. Just two people slowly accepting that love alone isn't enough to fix betrayal. A year later, life looks functional from the outside. I wake up. I work. I cook. I help with homework. I attend school events. I smile when required. Inside, I feel permanently changed. I'm more guarded. Quieter. Less willing to assume the best in people. I hate that about myself, but I can't undo it. Dating feels impossible. The idea of trusting someone with my heart again feels reckless. I swipe, chat, disengage. I find reasons to pull away. At night, when the kids are asleep, the house feels too big and too empty. Sometimes I miss her presence. Not her betrayal. Just the familiarity of not being alone. Other nights, I feel proud of myself for surviving something that nearly destroyed me. I still have moments of anger. Sudden, sharp ones. They come out of nowhere. A memory. A smell. A street we used to drive down together. Healing isn't linear. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. I don't think about him as much anymore. That feels like progress. But I think about who I was before this happened. And I mourn that man. I don't write this for advice. I don't even know what advice I'd accept. I write it because carrying this story alone became too heavy. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that betrayal doesn't end when the affair ends. It lingers. It reshapes your identity. It follows you into new rooms, new relationships, new versions of yourself. I used to believe love was about loyalty and effort. I still do. But now I know it's also about honesty, especially when it's uncomfortable. I ignored my instincts because trusting felt safer than questioning. I won't do that again. I don't regret loving her. I regret losing myself in the process. Some wounds don't fully heal. They scar. And maybe that's okay. Maybe scars are proof that you survived something that could have destroyed you. I'm still learning how to live with this version of myself. Still learning how to trust my own reality. Still learning how to let go. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest.